Hi, I'm Lisa Krouse. Welcome back to Dress to the Nines Golf, your go-to place for everything women's fashion, product trends, new developments, and lifestyle. I thought this month we would start off the year with a series of mindset changes. So we're going to start off first segment talking about setting your goals to help elevate your game of golf. And we have a special guest with us today. Her name is Kristi Hoskinson. Kristi has been a professional athlete. She is passionate about the game of golf and understands just the difficulty of trying to elevate your game. So I thought Kristi would be the perfect person to talk about setting your goals for the year as it relates to your golf game. Welcome, Kristi.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. It's a pleasure to be here. I grew up in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I think everyone that comes out of the womb in Canada comes out with skates on. And so you're probably going to play hockey or you're going to figure skate. And I chose the figure skating path. And that really, from the time I was 4.5, shaped me. I was a competitive athlete. That was the sport I pursued for over 15 years. And then I had the opportunity to turn pro and get paid to do what I love, which was to perform and eventually direct for Disney on Ice.
How amazing.
I know. And that actually afforded me to then end up moving to the United States and pursuing a career down here. And my degree really is what directed my passion in terms of my career. Health science, focusing on well-being specifically. And then eventually I pioneered a first ever wellness strategy with the school district of Manatee County. And that was, for me, life-changing.
So you were a trailblazer. When no one else was thinking about health and wellness in the workplace, you were opening up doors and getting people to think a little differently.
Ultimately, we knew the students, thousands of students in this community, would benefit from those employees who were choosing to take a healthier lifestyle. And I thought, wow, this playbook is working really well here. For over 10,000 covered lives on the health insurance plan, I think I can multiply this out across the country. I started my own business. I was always confident in ultimately the service that I could provide and the expertise that I had. And so I didn't overthink things. I had the right team around me to give me the resources I needed to be successful. And from there, word of mouth business just came. I had clients in California, from Pinota-Sassa, Tampa area, all the way down to Naples. And of course, clients in between that you're familiar with.
Yes,
and
that's awesome.
That was really reassuring me too, that as we're talking about goals today, because so much of the work I did, both with companies and with individuals as a wellness coach, came down to this art of goal setting. From there, career just continued to explode. I had a hankering to learn more about marketing and communications.
So in the game of golf, I think that's the secret sauce, is not overthinking it when you're playing the game, and to bring your state of mind, your set of confidence to the course, which of course is very hard, because we overthink everything, especially when you're trying to elevate your game. So how do we get our arms around setting our goals?
Golf is difficult, and I think why, as I think about what draws me to the sport, why do I keep coming back? And it is those micro goals that I like to set for myself, that if I can get those wins, if I can feel a sense of achievement every time I play around, even if the game at the end of the day, my scorecard looks pathetic, if I just focus on the goals that I know I want to achieve that game, I know steadily I will be improving. I know with consistency I will be improving. And I hope to see the fruit in due time of my improvement when it shows up on the scorecard. In the meantime, as I would say, I'm a beginner to intermediate golfer, I do frame every single round with a set of goals. And I think that is what has kept me going and also give me that structure I need, because I do like to achieve. I don't go into anything without setting a destination. And I think that's what's helped me really enjoy the game as an athlete.
I think that is so profound to say, think through what you want your game to look like at the end. What is it that you want to look back on and say, how many putts did I have? Or how did I improve my yardage, or whatever it is that you're working on. So I think that's great advice for anyone listening.
My most recent goal, if I can share, is around the activity on the green. I have learned so many strokes can be lost, unfortunately, in that darn thing called putting.
Well, everyone says it's the short game,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
we spend so much time trying to
Yes.
hit that long drive
Yes.
that we forget about the short
Yeah.
game.
I can have a great approach shot. I can have a great drive, but if I'm 3-4 putting, forget it. My scorecard, as I said, is not going to be attractive. So this year I've set a goal, just to give you an example how I work in terms of setting a goal before a round. For example, if I played on Saturday with my husband, which is very likely, I will set a goal to say at least 9 holes today, I will 2-putt, meaning no more than 2 putts and 9 holes, which sounds pretty achievable, and it should. I think the goal should always feel realistic, right?
Yeah.
It should feel achievable. Yeah. It should feel like something we feel motivated towards, not afraid of. And what's most important, I would say, and I would do this with my clients when I was wellness coaching, it's so important to set the system in place to help you achieve the goal. So the goal is the destination. Great. What's the system I'm going to put in place now to help me achieve that goal? And I always say the system is the path. And so often I think when we set goals, whether it's in the professional world, whether it's New Year's resolutions, we set the goal and we forget, frankly, to set the system. And so my system is very simple. It's 3 things I do. And I know if I do them consistently, I should achieve at least 9 holes. Right. And some would say fundamentally I do this anyways, but for me, when you're a fairly new golfer and you're just putting that structure in place, these are important things. So as I'm walking up to the green, I immediately know I'm going to mark the ball. And you said, of course you do that. But when you're chatting with ladies, or maybe you feel pressure because there's another twosome or foursome that's coming, and you better hurry up. You just go, I'm just going to putt. Nope, I'm going to mark the ball. I'm going to clean the ball. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pace to the hole, because for me, I'm still at that stage where I'm learning distance. I don't know it yet. Is it 12 feet? Is it 15 feet? Is it 30? I want to know, so I pace it out. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm reading the greens, which is an art in and of itself. And it'll probably take me years to really fully understand reading the greens. I'm trying to design that line. I'm reading the trajectory. I'm trying to figure out what's the pace going to be based on the distance and what the greens are, how they're informing me. And from there, right, I decide then what my putt, and I do 1 or 2 warm-up swings, and then I putt. Now that sounds like a lot. I'm very cognizant of pace of game, very cognizant. I'm doing all of this while someone else is setting up their putt, but I'm going to honor the system. And if I don't honor the system, if I just go up and putt, maybe I'm already, well over into a triple bogey at this point. If I don't create the consistency around the system, I'm not going to achieve my destination. I'm not going to get there.
You did mention something that I suffer from dramatically, and I've suffered through my entire life and never really realized what a hindrance it's been, and that's anxiety. So you're on, you're playing your game, you've got people behind you, people in front of you, and you may be playing with people who are better than you. So how do you manage anxiety when you are in the midst of a game?
I have to be confident at the performance of my game today. And I don't overqualify it when I play with people. It's just my game is my game. And I have to remind myself I'm confident at the performance of my game today. And so I think if I just continue believing in myself, and it does sound a little bit Pollyanna, but that is true, I'm confident in the performance of my game today. When it comes to distractions, I call it noise. Twosomes, foursomes, waiting, right, with their approach shot and just watching you on the green, hoping you finish up quickly. I have to park that, try not to give them any rent space in my head. That helps lower my anxiety. Probably by the end of this year, I hope I can say at least 15 holes I'm 2-putting. If I can manage that,
that's a win.
It's going to improve.
That is huge.
And it's really just having that inner confidence in where your game is today. I may never be a great golfer, and I'm okay with that. Just remaining confident in the performance of my game today.
Yeah. So is there anything that you would suggest that we look at in terms of a wellness perspective to help prepare one for elevating the game, having the right mindset, and getting on the course?
You said it earlier, so many thoughts coming to that first tee box. And so how do we reframe? How do we reset? And I think the power of breath for me has proven to be always so useful. 3 deep breaths. I know I can drive well on most days. And yet I had this almost nausea going on. And so I went to what I know, which is I need to take control of my autonomic nervous system. And how do I do that? How do I get the parasympathetic and the sympathetic branches in sync? And I do that by breath. And it's amazing just a few deep breaths. And my system knows it. In fact, it expects it. A few deep breaths of just focusing on my breathing and truly letting all the saboteurs in my head leave so that I could be the best version of my golf game that day.
So when you are breathing, do you have any thoughts in your mind? Are you setting positive thoughts, or is it a neutral base when you are beginning the breathing exercise?
It's like you remember the training, neutral. The best place one can go to is neutral. And then if you want to layer on the next, and this is all through heart math as a trained practitioner, if you can get to neutral, that's a great thing, which is literally just focusing on your breath. That will help actually stop you thinking about, am I going to hit it far? What are they going to think of me? Am I going to literally miss the ball if I swing? When you just focus on your breath, you're forced to thinking about your breath. If you can even then layer in what we call energizing or emotionally pleasing thoughts. You know, picturing yourself on vacation at that beach house where every time you think of that moment, it just evokes something wonderful in you, right? That literally that Rolodex, that picture. And it literally has proven, evidence-based research shows how it does calm your heart. And when your brain is sensing that you're in a state of calm and ease, your whole musculoskeletal system will respond in a way that you want it to. If your brain is sensing panic, right, you know the frontal neocortex shuts down, your ability to make any kind of decisions freezes, and your body responds accordingly. So the power of breath and just getting to that neutral state, if you can even layer in a positive emotion, that's even better. And then your body, your whole musculoskeletal system will respond the way that you've been practicing on the driving range.
That's
for sure.
that is so helpful. So in the few minutes that we have left, I want to just leave it with where you would like to offer advice and guidance on goal setting for 2025 as it relates to golf. But as we both know, the intersection between life and golf is so profound that sometimes there's no difference.
I like always bringing up the framework of a SMART goal. When we're writing a goal, you want it to be specific. You want it to be measurable. It has to feel achievable, it has to be realistic, and it needs to be time-based. The moment we move outside that framework, goals feel nebulous, and then we get frustrated because we're not achieving what we want to do. So honoring that SMART goal framework would be my first suggestion. I mentioned earlier the system, right? The goal is the destination. The system is the path. Design your path. Make sure you have the infrastructure. Make sure you have the resources you need to be successful. Otherwise, you'll be frustrated that you will not achieve your goal. Really give yourself permission to write goals, because what they do is when you have a goal, they allow you to say no so you can say yes. Right? When you have a goal, it allows you to say, no, I'm not going to check my emails at 8 o'clock at night because I want to have a good sleep tonight. And as part of my sleep hygiene plan, by me checking my emails at 8 o'clock at night, that might derail now my whole sleep plan that I've put in place. I'm going to say no to the digital activity at 8 so that I can say yes to the goal of good sleep hygiene.
You have been so helpful. It's been such a delight to spend time with you and get your perspective. And the next time that we meet with Kristi, we're going to hear how she did at the end of the year to see how her goals materialized. This is Lisa Krouse from Dress to the Nines. I would really appreciate it if you would press the subscribe and like buttons. I'm merely giving you my own perspective on the game of life and the game of golf. As a former CEO and chief HR executive, I personally found that playing the game of golf helped me have a seat at the table, and I hope it helps you too. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Kristi.
My pleasure. Thank you, Lisa.